Everyone, welcome to Peepo Coin channel. If you are new to the channel, I hope you will subscribe by the end of this video. We have been discussing RLUSD, XRP, Ripple, their strategy about RLUSD and XRP, and how XRP truly fits into all of this. We'll talk about a few things now, but first, I want to start with a price prediction, not from an influencer or somebody in this area, but from a large bank. And this is really kind of strange because if we go back a few years, people would have stated that a bank would never have given us a price prediction for XRP or any cryptocurrency, you know? But you know what? Now we do have it. Above all, a special thanks to Moon Lambo. I have to tell you, it is absolutely insane to see a global bank forecast that the price of XRP will reach $12.50, he remarked. For more over 10 years, the XRP community has thought that this kind of thing is feasible. At last, the rest of the world is starting to adopt our perspective and comprehension of the cryptocurrency market and the XRP ecosystem. Additionally, this is CoinDesk.com's price projection. Prior to President Trump's term ending, XRP may reach $12.50. You know, when we consider this, the first thing that comes to mind is that they stated $12.50 by 2028. Now, I believe that Standard Chartered, which is also a Ripple partner, and as you may know, Ripple received an investment from Standard Chartered back in 2016, has a pretty conservative stance. We have close ties here, you know. Additionally, we are aware that Standard Chartered continues to collaborate closely with Ripple on matters such as Ripple custody. This is really fascinating to observe. However, they do predict $12.50 by 2028. It might occur much sooner, in my opinion. Everything essentially hinges on how much this area grows this year. As 2028 is not that far off, I do believe that this is a fairly conservative outlook, but it is still something that is worth looking at. This is how you need to think about it. Since the announcement of the XRP lawsuit in December 2020, we have been waiting for it to be resolved, and it will be nearly 5 years soon. Knowing the existence of that action, considering that we have already waited 5 years for the matter to be resolved for a $12.50 XRP, what good are 3 years? Do I now believe that it will take that long? No, as I previously stated, but the bank claimed that XRP is in a unique position at the center of cross-border payments. The research also predicted that XRP's price increases will be comparable to those of Bitcoin. The price of XRP is expected to reach $5.50 by the end of this year, $8.00 by 2026, $10.40 by the end of 2027, and $12.50 by the end of 2028, they did add. What's intriguing about this, though, is that if that's the case, it would mean that XRP will fully separate from Bitcoin and traditional equities, and it seems like there won't be another bear market for cryptocurrencies. Are they assuming that we are about to enter a utility bull run, where all prices are genuinely linked to utilities rather than, say, Bitcoin and cycles? It's a really intriguing forecast because, once more, the majority of people believe that the bear market will begin in 2026 and that there would be negative price action for another 2 or 3 years after that. However, they are actually telling us that the market will be in decline for 1040, 2027, 1250, and 2028. I think that's fascinating, but here are some quotes as well. First, XRP is in a unique position to facilitate cross-border and cross-currency transfers, one of the use cases for digital assets that is expanding the fastest. The primary use case for stablecoins like Tether, which facilitate blockchain-embedded financial transactions that have hitherto been carried out through conventional financial institutions, is comparable to the XRP ledger. Indeed, it appears that they have a highly optimistic outlook for XRP and the utility XRPL. These major institutional players seem to be beginning to inform us that yes, it's fascinating to see how the industry is shifting from hysteria and conjecture to more useful applications. What are your thoughts on whether XRP will reach $12.00 and 50 cents? Do you think some of these other price projections from Standard Chartered will come to pass by the end of 2028? Or do you think it will happen sooner, will endure, such as $5.50 by the end of this year, $8.00 by 2026, and $10.40 by the end of 2027? These are all pretty intriguing goals according to the normal charter. Please share your thoughts in the comment section below. However, when we consider Ripple correctly, I do want to give Ripple's in general, that is, infrastructural offering, a little more attention. First of all, we are aware that they have cross-border payments associated with it. The original use case for additional personnel was this. We've always discussed it before. And it seems like they're rearranging things now with stable currency that will also be settled via the ledger. This indicates that the network as a whole is in demand, which also indicates that the underlying gas token, in this example, XRP, is in demand. Therefore, even though XRP is experiencing a similar situation to the RLUSD, it is still quite positive. Additionally, we do have the custody solution. Now, there isn't much of a connection between this and XRP. More than anything else, custody actually creates opportunities. Other use cases in this situation can include stablecoin issuance, digital asset management, tokenization, and more. And when we consider that, we primarily consider tokenization because, even on the Ripple website under the tokenization section, they highlight the XRP ledger, which is where everything that has been tokenized from Ripple is kept. They hope to have that tokenized future exist on the XRP ledger through any of their institutional clients or any significant player that uses custody, for instance, that they developed. However, the whole infrastructural offering that Ripple provides is what really makes all of this feasible. Aside from that, however, you have the stablecoin projects, which we already know about. The future of tokenization will be driven by stable cryptocurrencies. They will be the driving force behind almost everything we discuss, including tokenization, the adoption of digital assets, institutional DeFi use cases, and more. This is the base made of bread and butter. In essence, the secret to all of that is stablecoins. However, I bring this up because I recently wrote an article that essentially outlines what we're beginning to see with all of the Ripple acquisitions. This, in my opinion, is where we begin to take a closer look at the price projections made by these large institutions, or even by influencers over the years, and we can see them beginning to come to pass. Aside from the enormously inflated goals of $30,000, 0 cents, $50, 0 cents, and so forth, I continue to believe that some of the lower-end price projections, such as $10, 0 cents to $100, 0 cents for XRP, will be quite accurate. Many people will remark, "Nick, you're completely insane." However, it's fascinating to consider what Ripple is creating here. As I mentioned before, we have heard from numerous high-level Ripple workers about their vision for the company. Any institutional or enterprise actor can use the infrastructure they are providing as a one-stop shop. Tokenization, custody, payments, stablecoin initiatives, and much more are currently included in their solution offering. The most important thing to keep an eye on here is their acquisitions, which are calculated actions that strengthen their infrastructure. One of the major actions that started it all was Medico. In addition to gaining access to the custody market, acquiring Medico gave them access to major institutions such as HSBC, which has cooperated with Ripple on the XRP ledger tokenization activities, Deca Bank, Standard Chartered, and DZ Bank, which is in a similar state. The next major element of the puzzle was standard custody, with the regulatory licenses being the main selling factor. The New York Department of Financial Services has authorized their limited-purpose trust charter license. This is one of the most difficult licenses to obtain, and it radically changes the rules for Ripple. Being one of the largest parts of the puzzle, Hidden Road is the cherry on top. It goes beyond the $3 trillion, 0 cents in annual transactions or the more than 300 institutional players. The markets being tapped into, specifically the FX market, which is worth $7,500 billion, 0 cents per day, are the main focus here. All of this is in complete harmony with Ripple's important stablecoin actions. Fiat currencies are already being tokenized, and the entire financial system is transitioning to a blockchain. Perhaps